How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning into another Stuff in Us video. Today we're going to be installing this Underglow kit made by OPT7. Alright guys, so we got this Aura Underglow kit here off of Amazon, and it's normally $120, but we got it on sale for $89. So now let's get this box open and I'll show you what's inside. So in the kit, you're gonna get 4 light bars, 2 longer ones and 2 shorter ones. All right, so these longer ones here, all right, these are, I believe they're 48 inches if I'm not mistaken. And then you have the shorter ones here. And the way these are gonna work is these longer 48-inch light bars are going to go along the side of your car, and the shorter light bars are going to go under the bumpers of your car. So one for the front and one for the back. Now, one of the things I like about this particular kit versus some of the other Underglow kits you might see is you might notice that these are actually metal. So they're hard, what is it, like probably aluminum, which is really nice. So some of the other ones, they just have the rubber stripping LEDs, and it's okay, but I like the rigidity of this because on the back bumper, there is going to be an area where you're not really going to have anything to mount this to, and you're going to have to kind of free float it just like that. So the rigidity of these bars makes it so that you can do that, so you don't have to have, you know, it bolted down, you know, every couple inches or so, which is really nice about this kit. Okay, so next thing in the box is going to be our transmitter. This is our wireless transmitter here, and this is going to be what connects to our light rails. So each of these connectors out here, there's 4 of them, and the 4 of them are going to connect to the 4 of these ends of our light strips. This connector here is actually going to connect to the other cable, which is right here, and this cable here is going to be the one that connects to your battery. You're going to have 2 connectors on this, super easy to install. You have one positive, one negative. You can see the plus and the negative sign, so those just go right onto the battery. Then you're going to thread this down through the engine bay to finally connect it to your transmitter, and that's how you're going to get power to your light system. What I like about having it battery powered is you don't have to actually have the car running for the lights to turn on. If you guys are at a car meet or a parking lot or wherever you're at, you can actually turn the lights on without having to have the car started, without having to go in the car, which I think is super cool when you want to show your lights off, you know, to your friends and stuff like that. Okay guys, so next thing in the kit is going to be the zip ties, and they give you quite a bit of zip ties, and to be honest, you're going to use a lot of them. I found myself in the first kit, I think I used all of the short ones, and then it ended up moving over to the longer ones. What I found is once you have the wires laid out under the car, you are going to have a lot of excess cabling, so I like to use the smaller zip ties to kind of bundle up the cables just like this, so you don't have cables hanging out around everywhere. And then at the end, you're going to have a couple of cables that you're going to need to bunch together, and for that one, I like to use the larger zip ties just because they're a little bit longer, easier to get around the big bundle of cables. Next thing in the kit here, we have a remote control. So this is going to be your remote here. Simple basic LED control. If you've ever had LED light strips, keep this in your car so you always have it. Or like I said, they have an app on your phone, which is the way I've been doing it, which I think is really cool. Last 2 things in the kit, you have these metal ones that are okay, and then you have these black ones that I actually prefer. So when I was installing the other light strips, I looked at the 2 of these. These ones just seem to be a lot better for what we were doing. The metal ones are okay. The thing I didn't like about the metal ones is they were like form fitted, so you had to screw these little screws into the plastic, which I didn't like because the screws were really small, versus these screws here are a lot bigger, and these seem to bite into the plastic a lot better underneath the car, so makes for a really effortless installation, which is super nice. Now if you don't have an XB and you have a different car, maybe the metal ones might work better for you, but for the XB, I actually like this style of bracket. Again, the screw just goes in here like this. All right, and then what's nice about these screws is they catch into the plastic really easy, so you just get a little bit of pressure, you just kind of poke them in the plastic, and once you start turning them, they catch really easily. You'll come in with your zip tie like this. Right, and then what you'll do is you'll put the light bar on top of that, then you come over and you're gonna zip tie it on to there just like that. The other thing I like about these particular plastic brackets is they give you a little bit of wiggle room, and they're not super tight. So once you have the light bars underneath the car, you may have to shift them over left or right, and this allows you to actually move it if you need to. We're gonna get all of this together. I'm gonna put it back in the box, and we're gonna head outside and we're gonna get it installed in our Scion XB. Couple other additional things that you're going to need to install the kit: 10mm socket to disconnect the battery so you can attach your power connectors to that. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver to install the brackets for mounting the lights. You're going to need a wire cutter so that you can clip the zip ties once you're done with that. And you're going to need some electrical tape just to tape together where the power connects to the transmitter, because you don't want the connections to come apart. So I just use a little bit of electrical tape to hold those together. You are going to need to get the car elevated off of the ground. You can use standard car jacks. I like the Rhino ramps because they're just a lot easier to use. If you've never used a Rhino ramps before, they are pretty easy to use. We're just going to slide these right under, and what you want to do is make sure you just line these up with your wheels, just like that. And we're going to kind of keep an eye on the ramp a little bit while we're doing this. A little bit of gas, a little bit more gas. Right, as you come over, just hold the brakes, just kind of let it go until it settles. All right, and now we're on. Put it in park, hit the brake, turn the car off. So now, as you guys can see, we have our XB up on the Rhino ramps. We're giving us plenty of clearance on the back end. So we're gonna get this rear light bar installed first. So you're gonna grab one of your shorter light rails, okay? And what you're going to want to do is, once you take this off, you'll see actually how long this cable is. So you can see we're gonna attach the cable about right over here somewhere, and you can see how much cable we actually have left. Quite a bit, and we're only going to about right here. All right, so you can see that's where your light bar is going to go, and this is how much cabling you have. You're going to have excess wire, so you're going to want to make sure that you bundle all that wire up once you get it connected, so you don't have all these loose wires hanging everywhere. Now we're here on the back end, and I'm going to get under the car and show you how to get this installed. Okay, now one of the things you're going to notice on the back versus the front and the side is there's no plastic piece going across the back here. So what that means is you're not going to really have anywhere to mount the light bar. If you were going to try to, you'd probably have to mount it to the bumper, but it'd be too close to the edge. And then on the inside, there's really nothing else to mount it to. This part up here, you can't mount it to because that's metal. This is also metal, and that's also metal. So you're not going to want to try to drill through any of that. On this particular car, on the first gen XB, this is going to be how it's going to go. It's kind of free floating in a sense because there's no other supporting brackets that are going to be there. This is how it's going to mount though. I've tried it out in the other car and it does look really good. What I'd recommend is start with one at a time. You're going to do it in an X pattern. What you're going to do is you're going to come up over the top like this, and we're going to pull this zip tie tight. All right, and see that? It's nice and solid. To make sure we're super secure, we're going to take two of these and one we're going to put over this way. So now you can see we got a really safe connection there. It's really tight. All right, so now we're gonna come over here with this one, grab your other zip tie, come along this side, and you're gonna do the exact same thing. So one like this, one like that, and same thing with this one. All right, just like that, and the X there. Okay, do you have enough of a gap where you can actually slide these things over to make sure you get it perfectly centered? The middle slit where our bumper is actually the middle of the car, which is right where our wire connectors are. So perfect job. Take your wire cutters, come in here and just snip the tips off, just like that. So what I did on the other one is I went through this bracket thingy. I don't know if that's how I should have done it, but that's how I did it on the other one. So that's how I'm gonna do it here. I just went through here like this. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one zip tie and we're gonna zip tie the wire right here. So got one there, snip that. So next one we're gonna go is we're gonna go to here. We're gonna go to this cable over there, and just like that. Again, it doesn't have to be super tight, just enough so that you're not having any kind of sagging with the cables. You're not going to see any of these cables, but the main thing is you just don't want them to get too far low where they get caught in anything. Perfect. Let's go over the top of this. Kimberly's out here helping me today. Awesome to have an extra set of hands for this. All right, so right here, again, just make sure it's kind of tight and then just mount it just like that. Okay, so the rest of the cables, you're just going to pull this out and you're just going to leave them to the side for now, all right? All right, guys, so now we got the front of the car off the ground. Now we can start with the other light bars. We're gonna do one of the longer ones, again, one of the 48-inch ones. And the way we're gonna do it is the cable we're gonna have going out to the front. Okay guys, so this piece of metal here goes all the way down the side of the car, and that's where your car is gonna jack up onto. You don't wanna put it too close to this, kinda wanna have it out just a little bit, and right here, all the way along the bottom, this whole thing is plastic, and that's where we're gonna be drilling into. Kinda gauge more or less, you can start with one side, figure out where you want the mount to go. So we're gonna want our mount to go like right here, so we're gonna just make a little mark in the plastic. Again, if it's not perfectly centered, guys, don't worry about it, because like I said, you can shift it around a little bit. We're gonna take our screw just like this, to find our mark. All right, and then what you do is just push up a little into the plastic, and that'll get the screw kind of in there, and then it should be really easy to get it in there. If you have a drill, you can use a drill too, but I find it's not too bad doing it by hand. All right, so we got one in there. We're gonna get one more. What we'll do is we'll put our bar up here, just we can get our gauge to where we want our other one to go. We're gonna probably put our other one right here on this flat surface right there. So we'll mark it right there. Just give it a little turn and the screw should catch. All right, perfect, cool. Let's take one of your zip ties, thread it through like this, just like that. Then you're gonna take your light rail, tighten your zip tie, just like that. Perfect, and that's in there. Like I was telling you earlier, you see how you have a little bit of room to move, just in case it's not perfectly centered, you can move it around a little bit, which is nice. And then we'll do the same thing with this one. Tie it on there. To the front part of the side installed. And again, you can see how steady this is. All right, it's not gonna go anywhere. If you wanted to mount another one over here, you could, but I don't think it's really gonna be an issue. So now we're coming to the back over here, and we're gonna do two more. Start turning it, so then come in here. That bracket's still gonna sit just like that. I like to go from the inside out, just so that when I'm tightening it, the knuckle is closest to me. So if I have to tighten, I pull out versus having to pull in. It makes it a little easier to tighten things. All right, so there's that one. Ooh, yeah. There's red ants everywhere. So the thing with these red ants is what I realized is if you kill one, then they multiply. If you just leave them alone, they just kind of do their thing and they won't mess with you. Sometimes you get bit. The second you start killing them, they start coming out like, oh, our homies are dying, and then they come out and then you really have a problem. So with the red ants, they're super intelligent. So if you got red ants by your house, don't kill them while you're doing stuff on the floor. Just kind of let them do their thing. All right, just like that. Cool. From the inside out. Zip tie up just like that. So now what we're gonna do is, remember our cable we had from the back over here? If you see where we mounted it right there. Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna run this cable, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna zip tie it to this other piece. We can zip tie it to the side of this cable. All right, and now our wire is right here. Pull a little tight to pull up the slack, and now you can see our cable is nice and tight. If you needed to jack up your car, you could still get in here with your jack without having to worry about it hitting the cable. You still have enough clearance there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep running our cable down. So we just do one more here. Tighten it in, like that, and make sure it's nice and tight. Tighten that cable up. All right, and that cable is nice and snug. Make sure the cable's on the inside before you tighten it. And then again, just pull it taut so you bring up all the slack, just like that. And this back one is gonna be the longest one as far as doing the cabling. Everything gets way easier once you get closer to the front of the car. See, at the end, our cables now are both right next to each other. Okay, what you're gonna do is just take these bundles just like this, all right? And you're just gonna leave them right here, just like that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and try to install our front and our side one. Basically, you're gonna do the exact same thing that you did on the other side, all right? Find your mark that you made, push up into the plastic, and then you just start tightening by hand, just like that. Zip tie through the bracket, take your light bar, just like that. This particular brand, very easy to install. I like the metal framing that comes with these lights because it just adds more rigidity. And what's nice is, like, if you look under here now, if you had like a floppy light strip that was kind of like, you know those light strips you see that are this material? Well, you notice when you have it, see always like how it hangs? With these metal brackets, because they're metal, you really need to anchor them down on one end of each of the metal pieces, and then the rest of it will just kind of hang itself. You don't have to really worry about it. Underneath here, okay, there's a little cross beam thingy. That's gonna be where we attach our wire to, because we have to get this bundle of wires over to that bundle of wires like that. We're just gonna zip tie it to here. Just make sure you have your cable in before you snap the zip tie. All right, so that's just gonna come like that. And then just make sure this is nice and taut. All right, so you can see now it's nice and tight. The wire is nice and tight. Now that is gonna be good to go to our other side. Zip tie here. And the reason why I want to extend it a little bit further is because if we come right across right here, it's super close to the catalytic converter, and this thing gets super hot. So what we want to do is we want to get as far forward as we can go ahead of this, and then pop over that way. You have more than enough wiring You know, if you want to wire it a different way or, you know, go a different route than what I did, definitely can. They give you more than enough wire to complete the install on any car of any size. So underneath the car, if you go where our middle is, the middle is basically right here where this screw is. So you see there's a channel right here, basically swoops down right here, right? There's a little bit of a swoopy swoop, and you're gonna mount it just in here, just like that. Again, push up on the plastic, just like that. This comes in here and just like that. All right, and you can see kind of how that's gonna go. Now with this plastic, it is kind of floppy, so you may have to hold the back to get it to go in. It makes it a little easier, but again, once it bites, man, you're home free. And again, we take our zip tie, and now we got this one installed. Once you get under here and you're just like, oh, it's just like putting up any kind of other LED bars in your office or your computer or whatever. It's the same concept. You're just doing it under your car, you know, but if you've never been under your car, then it's all kind of foreign, you know, you're like, well, I don't know where to screw stuff, but that's why it's good to get under your car, do your own maintenance, do your own oil changes, and really get familiar with your cars, because the more familiar you are with your cars, the more you realize there's really not a lot to them, you know, especially like these Toyotas, they're so simple to work on. There's not a lot of moving parts, you know, everything's really basic, you know, as far as fixing things and doing installs, and snug it up. See, now you can see it's not perfectly straight, but it's okay because we have a little bit of room to work with. All right, so now we're gonna go back up to the top. So if you've never done this before, I know you might be intimidated and be like, oh, I'm messing around with the battery, I don't wanna get electrocuted or anything crazy like that. Well, you don't have to worry about it, nothing's gonna happen to you, you're gonna be just fine. If you look right down in here, we have all of the cables and wiring for our headlights. So you know that there's a lot of wiring and stuff down there. A little bit lower is for our fuse box, and down there is just more cabling for our fog lights and stuff like that. So in my opinion, that is gonna be the best way to go, because there's already a lot of wiring and cabling down there, and if it was really hot, all of that stuff would have melted. The fact that it hasn't leads me to believe that it's a-okay. Thread this through here, and then you're just gonna shimmy this all the way through. So if you look right in here, inside of here is where all your cables for like your fog lights, like see all this stuff right here, all these cables up here, all these wires, these are all your fog light cables and all that stuff. Right down here is where our wiring is gonna go, or it's just gonna go right alongside all those cables, so we should be fine as far as heat goes, all right? The red is gonna be your positive, which is gonna go to this terminal here, or the positive side of the battery, and the white side is gonna go to the negative side of the battery. And you're just gonna come in here and you're just gonna loosen this bolt. And let's come in here and loosen that side. Okay, so now we have both of our terminals loosened. So we're gonna take our connector. So again, negative, says on here is the white side. It's gonna come under here. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna attach it right here, just right to the battery. And then what you're gonna do is just tighten that on there, just like that. Okay, same thing over here with this side. Okay, now we're good there. We have our connector on the top, and now we're good to go. So we're done in the hood area. Close that up. Perfect, okay. So this is just gonna plug in like this. Okay, now this connector here, see how it's kind of a little bit of metal exposed? The other thing too is there's no like locking mechanism like these other ones have. So that's why I have the electrical tape. And then just kind of come around this joint right here, just so that it's nice and sealed up so that no water will get in there. But the main thing is just so that it won't come apart. See that? Not gonna come apart now. Now, one thing I will point out to you guys, this is very important. See, there's an arrow right there. There's also an arrow on here, and you can see it's already turning on. See that up there? See the light turning on already? Okay, so that's unplugged, and now it's on. So you plug those two arrows together, this slides on, and then you just tighten this down just like that. And then now that's nice and tight. Okay, so next we're gonna do is we're gonna mount this box. Actually, what we're gonna do is this cable gonna come up through here and then come out under right here. Just goes up over, just like that. And then this cable right here will just sit on the edge of this lip right here. So right here down is where it is, and then see this little lip right here? We're gonna take a zip tie, and we're gonna zip tie the cable through that hole so that we can zip tie these cables right here so they stay nice and secure. So we're gonna do the same with this one. We're gonna go up and around. So this is coming through here. Now you have two sets of cables that are right here. I'm gonna zip tie it like that. And now our cables are nice and secure. So now we're good to go right there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back this way with our cables, all right? Just like this. Okay, take our other zip tie and come up here, and then we're gonna cable this to right here, just like that. All right, guys, so we got our cables just like that. Cool, cool. All right, so you have your power box here, right? This is where it's gonna mount just like that. So we're gonna take our zip tie, and we're gonna do 2 zip ties. All right, and now our transmitter is locked in right there. It's not gonna go anywhere, it's not gonna move. So now we have our cables here where our connectors are, and we just have to now connect our cables. Now you gotta do a little bit of cable management. So what I like to do is I like to take our cables and just kind of start looping them like this. And you're basically gonna make a little wire bundle just like that, and just zip tie it together. All right. So there, you got one little bundle. See how we have that bundled up there? Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna just do the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And the reason why I like to connect the battery beforehand is because as you're plugging these in, you can make sure they're turning on. So if there's any issues, you figure it out before you get done with everything, and then you go up to turn it on and nothing works. You do that first, okay? Just like that. See, now we have 2 bundles of cables. So we're gonna do one more zip tie here just to secure this cable going across, just so it's not all loosey-goosey going across the bottom of the car here. Just tighten it like that. So what you could do with these, just kind of push them up out of the way for now. All right, just like that. We'll get to those in a bit. And again, these connectors here, I don't think you necessarily need electrical tape because they are kind of screw on already, all right? And actually what we're gonna do with this cable, we're gonna do the same with these 2 cables actually. We're gonna run them here, and then we're gonna zip tie them to this bar here before we do our cable management. It's gonna go over there like that. And then that way, now our wires from here are also nice and taut. All right, so now that one's connected. So now we have just one connection left, which is this one here. So now that one's done. Okay, that one's done, that one's done, that one's done, and that one's done. 4 bundles of cables, all right? And now you're like, what the heck are we gonna do with all those cables? So we're gonna take all of our cables, just like this. We're gonna mush them all together, just like this. And they're just gonna stay in there just like that. So we're gonna take our big zip tie and then go up over the top of this, come down over here like that, and then we're gonna zip tie all this shiz together. Just make it as tight as you can. And see that? Just like that, all of our cables are nice and snug under here. I'm gonna do one more zip tie on the other side of that, just so it's like super duper secure. Just like that. And then we'll do one more just for safe measure over this bar over on this side of the cable cluster, just to keep that side secure so that doesn't come down. All right, guys, check it out. It's nice and secure. We got our cables all bundled up there. All right, and we'll just cut this, and we'll cut this, and we'll cut this. All of our cables are nice in here, and you see how tight they are. They're nice and snug. All right, guys, so that completes the install of our Underglow light kit. Unfortunately, the sun is up, so we're gonna do a cool little transition, and the next time you see us, it'll be at night. I'm gonna show you the full light kit. All right, so here we go. So the sun has gone down and the lights are now illuminated. Everything looks really smooth, it looks really good. And then if we pan slowly over this way, you can see that all of our cars now have Underglow. So Nanners has Underglow, Torched has Underglow, and the To-Go Box has Underglow. So our whole fleet of Scion XBs have Underglow now. There's a little remote here, and it basically has all your different buttons here, so you can go through here and change the different colors of your car, okay? Now, one of the things you might notice is as I get closer to the 2 cars, then it starts controlling both of the cars. If you have multiple cars and these remotes are giving you issues because they're turning on all your cars, well, there's a solution for that. And the solution is actually the mobile app. And as you can see, what I did is I named all 3 cars. So you can go in here and you can customize each of the cars. So there's Torch right there. So you can see I could turn that one off, turn that one on, To-Go Box off and on. And then over here at Nanners, we want to go into there, turn that off and turn that on. So really cool, you can go in here and control each of your cars individually. When you go into the app, you have this whole cool color wheel. So for instance, on Torched, if you wanted to change the colors, there's red, green, blue, turquoise, yellow, white, orange, purple, another kind of orange. And then you can actually go in here and adjust the color wheel. As you can see, there's no latency, there's no lag, so it is pretty accurate. You can also do one that goes to the rhythm of the music. So for instance, right now, it's going to my voice. Now when I'm talking again, you can see it goes on. So you can have it go to the phone mic. You could also have it go to music. So while you're playing your car, you can have the music going along with the lights. And that's pretty cool. Check that out. Yeah. Cool, right? So you can go in here and do different modes, 3 jumping colors. You can do red gradual, which is like, you know, it just kind of glows. All right, but they have a bunch of different modes in here, which are really cool. They have different scenes. So they have like lunch break, casual, quiet, party. And then over here in the more category, you have just information as far as customer support, installation guides, tutorials, and stuff like that. But my favorite screen is actually this one here, because you can go in here and really dial in what you like. So for instance, on torch, I kind of like more of an orange color. And that's what we're gonna go with that. So now we'll go over here to nanners. Let's click on nanners. And since nanners is yellow, we're gonna go over to the yellow color, something like that. So now you can see we have our yellow light over there. And then we'll go back over here now to go box. We'll click on to go box and we'll click on blue. And now you can see it is blue like that. You don't have to have the car on. You don't have to have the car unlocked. So if you're inside, let's say a store or something, and you wanna turn it on while you're walking out, you can just boom, pull out your phone, turn it on. You know, while you're inside your house, you can turn them on, whatever you want to do. It just gives you a lot of options. All right, guys, so that was the OPT7 Aura Underglow Kit. Again, you can get those on Amazon.com. The price for these is currently $119.99. When I purchased them, they were on sale for $89.99. So if you are interested and you're not in a rush, maybe put it in your cart, and when the price changes, go ahead and scoop it up. All right, guys, if you have any questions or comments about the Underglow Kit, installation, anything like that, feel free to leave those down below in the comments. If you like the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to hit the bell so you get notified every time we put out a new video. And until next time, guys, see ya.